How many games do you have sitting in your Steam library still unplayed? My guess, it's more than you'd like it to be, and it's not entirely your fault. I'm not any different from the rest of you, and my backlog has grown to an immense size and has only gotten larger since getting into the hobby of retro handhelds. These wonderful little devices have been such an amazing addition to my life in helping me slow down and unwind after long, busy weeks. But there's a problem that arises when you have these shiny new devices, or even when you sit down to play games at a desktop. Distractions. More often than not, I end up sitting on the lounge, my devices on the coffee table in front of me, unable to decide which one I want to pick up and play. This year though, things are going to be different. I've come up with a system to help combat that feeling of being unable to make a choice, and I'm going to beat some games and use my gaming devices for literally what they were made to do rather than just sitting on my coffee table looking pretty. The world that we live in has been designed to distract. So many things are begging for your attention. Every time you open your phone, notifications are screaming at you. TikTok and Instagram Reels have been designed to be addictive. And where you're watching this video now, new and interesting YouTube videos are being released literally every second. Most of the time, if you're like me, you just end up struggling with choosing what to do. Switching between apps, going back and forth between Instagram and TikTok, realizing you're wasting your time opening YouTube only to get sucked into watching shorts, and then realizing you're doing that again, and then closing that only to go back to Instagram and scroll there for ages in this never-ending loop rather than actually doing the things you want to do. Even once you've broken through the noise and made the decision to finally sit down and play games, you might have a plethora of devices to choose from to actually play those games. Do I want to sit on the lounge and stop my wife from watching the TV so I can play games, or do I want to sit next to her with my Ally X instead? Then what if I want to go play some nostalgic retro games? Do I want to use my Ally X that's probably too big or too low on battery to play for even a long time? So should I pull out my Retroid Pocket 5 to play those games? Or even the Trim UI brick that's in my backpack or on the dining table to play some GBA games? Then if I choose to use the Retroid, is it a thumbstick based game? Like, will that get uncomfortable after a short amount of time? Or so maybe the Ally X is the right decision. Or I want to play an SNES or a GBA game that I already started to play through on the brick that I don't have SyncThink set up on, so I can't continue on the RP5. Once I've finally decided what device I want to sit down and spend time with, then I have to pick which game I want to play. And in my situation, the analysis paralysis becomes even stronger, as on each device I can have thousands of games. Both my PC and Ally X has access to my Steam library, which alone is over 300 games, which is ever growing with every Steam sale that happens or every Humble Bundle that is just too good to pass. Or they have my Epic Games, which also has games that go for free frequently. Then on top of that, they have all my emulation set up, which is almost too large to count and is constantly growing as I'm finding hidden gems that I missed in the past, or some that I never even knew existed. The point I'm trying to make here is that everything is stacked against you when it comes to sitting down and relaxing with games. We're both blessed and cursed with choice. Not even with just the choice of what games we want to play, but how we would like to play and experience those games. For me, most of the time, making those decisions alone can be enough of a barrier for me to actually sitting down and relax, even once we've broken through the noise of social media and the distractions around us. So in saying that, what can we do about it? Because this has been a frustration of mine for a while. I hated sitting down to relax, only to get stressed out trying to figure out how I would like to decompress. Watching YouTube one day, the answer struck me. Or more aptly, I stole it. After watching a misguided guide to finishing your gaming backlog and the subsequent videos by Daryl Talks Games, I realized what the answer was to actually being able to relax and play games. Spreadsheets. I'm only kind of joking. The answer is actually taking the time to take the time out of making those decisions that lead us to doing nothing and twiddling our thumbs. For me, the answer was making a spreadsheet or a database of all the different games I actually want to play, and some information on those games to help making that decision a little bit easier. There are a few things I want to accomplish with this methodology, one of which is making progress through my game backlog and actually finishing games. The other was actually putting my personal philosophy of using your stuff instead of them sitting on the counter or the shelf as decoration. I use this philosophy when it comes to my watches, not letting them just look pretty on the bedside table, or my pocket knives. I actually carry them to work and cut things with them rather than letting them just be shelf queens or pocket jewelry that never gets used the way it was intended. Increasingly for me though, that's how my retro handhelds had become. Just sitting on my coffee table staring at me, asking what is their purpose, since I rarely played on them. So that has become my New Year's resolution. Use my stuff and play some damn games. 2025 is going to be the year I return to gaming and actually finish the games I start, instead of opening them for 20 to 30 minutes before going to play any random competitive 5v5 shooter that's in fashion like I used to in the past. My life has changed and my gaming habits will have to change with them. I'll actually go into more detail about my journey back into gaming in the coming video, since life has been pretty hectic for me and I took a pretty long hiatus from the gaming sphere, but now I'm determined to be back and catch up on all the games and experiences I may have missed out on. The short of it is, 3 years ago, I moved states from where I grew up for 22 years, moved all my life to a coastal town here in Australia where I met new people, started new hobbies, met my now wife, And about 3 months ago, my first son was born. And that alone has been some of the biggest changes in my life. Between work, family, and a newborn, I had to find a way to help unwind after long days and weeks. And for me, that's my old faithful gaming. All while getting in time with whatever device I have on hand to review or just enjoy using and pick up and play. Plan on achieving this what shouldn't be as hard as it is task by trying to simplify the process of choosing what to play and when. The analysis paralysis was and is the biggest issue for me, so I decided I needed to organize my brain and take the friction out of playing games. So first off, what I did was make a spreadsheet with all the games I would like to play, which at the moment is 85 games and will likely get to over 100 soon, which is a daunting number, so you can see why I needed to organize my brain around it. Now, the spreadsheet or database that I'm using is just a Notion workspace. I'm not affiliated with them, but I had been using their product for a little bit to help organize myself with this channel specifically, and I like their system, so for me, this was a no-brainer. Now, getting the games on a page alone won't do much to help me decide what to play, so I decided to add some other data points to help with the decision-making process. First off was going to be the time to complete, since I didn't want to have 200 or 300 plus hour games going at the same time, and I'm going to be playing up to 3 games at the same time. So I added a column to track the time to beat for each game and went back and forth between howlongtobeat.com and my Notion workspace to add in the average time for each game. Next after that was going to be Metacritic score, so that I could make an educated-ish decision on if the game was going to be worth my time. Now, this alone isn't a good indicator on if a game is going to be good or not, or if you're going to enjoy it, but I just like having the extra data point, so I'll take these scores with a grain of salt. Then, since I'm a massive nerd, I added which platform each game is from or where I own it, so PlayStation 2, Nintendo Entertainment System, Game Boy Advance, PC, and things like that, just so I can see where everything is going to be played. To coincide with which platform, I also added which device I intend to play each game on. Now, this one will be a bit more of a personal choice, since I specifically run with 3 devices that all have different use cases. First off, I've got my LIX, which I already have made videos about on this channel to play PC games on, as well as my desktop computer, which is currently hooked up on the TV for gaming on the lounge as well. Next is my Retroid Pocket 5, which I got just after Christmas to replace my Odin 2 since I sold that one to my brother. And if you have no idea what either of those 2 things are, don't stress, I have videos about the Retroid Pocket 5 coming soon. But for the purpose of this video, it's just an Android-based handheld that's intended to be used to emulate games. Basically a phone that's laid on its side with controls slapped on each side. And finally, I carry a much smaller pocketable handheld, which at the moment is the Trim UI Brick. It stays with me most days in either my pocket or a backpack, so it's within arm's reach to avoid falling into the void of brain rot that is ever so easy to access on our phones. Some may say that I'm trading one vice for another, but to me, playing an engaging puzzle game on this is way better than scrolling through thousands of Instagram reels or TikToks. After all that, I have other data points that I find interesting, like whether I finished a game to keep track of my progress, how long it actually took me to beat each game, and both the date I started playing it and the date that I finished it. Since, again, I have 3 devices going with different games, I think it's going to be kind of interesting to see the time frames in which I beat those games. Another feature of why I chose Notion specifically to track my backlog is that each game entry in the database leads to its own page. So not only do I track the specific data I explained before, but I'll actually be able to keep track of my thoughts on each game as I play them, and be able to summarize my experience into a review at the end of each game. And it's all nice and tidy, all within one Notion workspace. Now, this wasn't trivial to set up, I will admit, but I do believe that removing the friction of choosing what to play and on what device will enable me to actually get more gaming done. The system will also allow me to keep track of what I'm playing on what, since it can also be easy to forget what you were doing if you take any extended breaks from games. And that leads me into my final point, or more accurately, a promise. I will have the link to view the Notion page down below so that you can all check on me and my progress through my backlog. I will also endeavor to give updates on my progress through it, as well as do reviews on any games that I find particularly interesting, since I have the built-in ability to track each game as part of my backlog as well. While you're down below in the description, why don't you take a gander at the subscribe button, and if you're not already, give it a cheeky click. Same with that like button if you like the video and you want to see more from me. 2025 is going to be the year of trying new things for me. I took the Christmas break to think about this YouTube thing, which I've really been enjoying doing. I've tried the gameplay thing before, but this more formal written videos are significantly more fun for me at the moment. And I have another backlog I'll be trying to work through, which is my video ideas. Next up, I plan on getting up a Retroid Pocket 5 unboxing and impressions video, as well as a Trim UI Brick video. They arrived over the Christmas and New Year's break, so I haven't really had the time to sit down with them, but I've had some time to play with a little bit of them and get some impressions up. Excitingly, I've also received both the Deburn kill switch and the Skull & Co grip for the LIX, which you've probably noticed throughout this video. So reviews on them are coming very quickly. In fact, as of recording this, I'm halfway through writing the script for the Skull & Co one, And then once I finish writing that and filming that, I'll switch over to the D-Brain case, use that for about a week until I have my opinions a little bit more solid on that. Honestly, that isn't even the tip of the iceberg for what I would like to accomplish with this channel this year. And hey, if you made it this far to hear what my plans are, I appreciate you. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed the video and we'll see you all in the next one.